So Dennis Prager, he's honestly approaching Jordan Peterson levels of despair about the left. The left is punishing us for the crime of being. This kind of, I don't know, just seeming depression about how the left is coming for them. It's completely unhinged and disconnected from reality. So much so that here's Dennis Prager saying that there are 0 happy leftists and that we are against smiling in general.
First of all, smiling annoys the left. There are no happy leftists. There are happy liberals. There are happy conservatives. But there are no happy leftists. If you're happy, you're not on the left. I've lived a long time. I've never met a happy leftist. They don't radiate happiness in public life. Think Rashid Tlaib is a happy woman? She radiate happiness to you? These people are angry people.
As opposed to me, who was very happy.
They're ingrates. Anger and ingratitude do not allow happiness.
Look at
First
that
of all,
closed off
You know
body
who
language.
doesn't radiate happiness to me? Dennis Prager, who
These people, they don't know what happiness is. They'll never be happy. Look at me, how happy I am all the time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm like a body language expert now because I've been watching like old episodes of MTV's The Pickup Artist. And, you know, from my perspective, Mystery would say that his body language is not happy. You know,
well,
he's
I have
closed off,
seen an
arm
episode
crossed.
I've seen an episode of The Mentalist, and I would agree with you, Brandon.
Frankly, I just can't wait for him to be on The Masked Singer because this is the next thing. This is going to turn out that I don't know what the costumes are this season, so I got to assume that he's like some kind of, fire hydrant on there or something.
He's the poop emoji.
It's just like funny. That's like unboxing videos. The show, they've managed to capture that level of like entertainment for children.
Also, I just noticed, we've had our run-ins with David Pakman as regards to the intellectual property of our set. The Dennis Prager, what he does with the DNP is the same thing that David Pakman does with the DNP there. So
chain reaction. And speaking of happy, David Pakman has a happy disposition.
Oh yeah, he's a cheerful guy.
He's a cheerful guy.
He's more of a liberal though.
Yeah, but fine. Dennis Prager though, maybe he wants to have an interaction with David Pakman, and I would say I'm a fairly happy person.
Isn't it amazing though that how even on like something this unimportant, they are clearly projecting?
Yes.
Even on the happiness, how happy they are, they're projecting their feelings on someone else. I mean, everyone who he named actually seem to be very happy people. They get very angry about situations and things that happen in life. But if you follow them and watch interviews with them, they're very happy people in their own personal lives. Dennis Prager doesn't seem like that at all.
Yeah. I mean, the squad that he mentions, I've met Rashida Tlaib. She's lovely and very warm in person. All of the squad. I mean,
Ilhan seems like she has fun all the time.
Ilhan has fun all the time. She dunks on people on Twitter. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez loves to laugh and like have fun with people from, back when before the pandemic, when I interacted with her before. Like that, the examples of this is just like, they're really the most miserable people I can think of are someone like Ben Shapiro.
I mean, look at somebody like Dennis Prager's friend Adam Carolla. Anybody who knows Adam Carolla would be like, you know what? Carolla's been really happy lately. He's a bitter old asshole now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the best example of what the caller from before, or rather the IMer from before, who was talking about like leftism as defined by non-leftists in the media. Like the best example of it is like the right being able to define themselves as like the party of jokes and fun. When in the times when they're not saying that, all they're doing is complaining about like people like dancing to music online or like having a good time and drinking or something. Like they are like the mayor from Footloose, but like if their campaign was like 99% no dancing and the other 1% of the time it was like I don't know, but my opponent seems to be anti-fun. It's hilarious how they've been allowed to craft this like this persona for themselves of like the party of jokers. They hate jokes. The only jokes they like are like thinly veiled bigoted jokes, because they don't even like jokes at their own expense. Like nothing makes Joe Rogan madder than when people were making jokes about him taking ivermectin, and then suddenly with this is all serious.
Yeah, I need to sue CNN now.
Yeah, no, but nothing makes them like more triggered than even that video you mentioned dancing. That video of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dancing from college, having the time of her life, like Sandy Cortez, it pisses them off.
She was a bartender. She spent time in bars.
Those aren't fun.
Yeah,
they're not fun. And then then they write an op-ed about how no one wants to sleep with them, and like how the left is really mean because they won't hang out with them. It's like, because you guys are, I hate to say it, losers. Like, you're losers.
The left is too dour and serious. And now, by the way, do you see what Disney's trying to do to our kids with this representation of a gay couple? Yeah.
And here's why weed is actually a gateway drug. We're the fun ones, though.
Like, it's just a power play, because like they know that if they get to define where the joking begins and end in like media, then they're just going to inherently be inclusive of all like bigotry as like just joking, the kind of Rush Limbaugh type of joking. And then when you make a joke about how they can't get a girlfriend, they'll be like, this is serious business. Like trans people being killed, that's just like a funny haha moment online. The fact that I can't get a girlfriend, that's just that shows the left has no empathy. And you're like, okay. Oh, like, okay, yeah. Like if you take that kind of childishness seriously, it's like, okay, well, I guess.
But Dennis Prager didn't stop there. Here he is being a real fun guy. Really fun guy with a sunny disposition who we all want to be around.
Content moderation means censorship. Okay? That's what it means. There is no other explanation for the term content moderation. It's a Soviet term. Pravda would have used that. We have content moderation. It's painful for me that Max Boot has gone in this direction. I knew him. I had him on the show. Well, he published me regularly in the Wall Street Journal when he was the opinion editor. Something happened to Max. It's very
Max Boot, like one of the most sort of like ingrate war cheerleaders of American media. And something happened to him in that sense. I don't know what happened. He doesn't want to publish Dennis Prager at the Wall Street Journal anymore.
I guess so.
Max Boot is also another great example of how being wrong, if you are high enough up in like op-ed media, does not matter. Because like I feel like every Max Boot article I've ever read that I've read a day after it's come out comes with like a correction at top, like just like a mandated correction. Like Matt Boot doesn't know anything about Iran actually, so we've removed all the paragraphs about that. And
it's very disappointing on a human level, but it's irrelevant to the larger point. Democracy, what is it? Democracy to survive needs more content moderation, not less. Okay. I shudder at these people on the left. They are the one thing I fear them more than death.
That's what I want to get to.
I am a big believer in Patrick Henry's "Give me liberty or give me death." I fear the left more than I fear death.
Be our guest.
Because everyone will die, including me. I hope later than sooner, but we all will. But what is not inevitable is the destruction of the American experiment in liberty.
You know
that
what's
is more important than
we're
me.
good. We're good. You know what's fun is death talk.
All right. Let's also be straight up. Without content moderation, I'm assuming that Dennis Prager is supportive of child pornography, bestiality, suicide videos being posted, because that's the content that content moderation stops. That's literally the main type of content that gets taken down by content moderators.
Yeah, what about just nudity, like boobs and stuff? Like why, like this is the if that's censorship, then it's censorship. And I agree that like there's certain things that you should censor and certain things you don't. They want to keep the like Nazi talk and get rid of nudity. And I would probably err in the other direction in what I would content moderate or censor personally.
Well, you know, I would say I think they would argue that they're using content as like, you know, they're using it as like in scare quotes to just be like, that's what they'll call it, content moderation. But we know it's like speech. But from my perspective, this really just gets at to the heart of what cancel culture is really about and what all of these like complaints are actually about, which is the idea that like they might come into some kind of difficulties if we started taking like hate speech seriously, or we started like enforcing the terms of services for these third-party accounts that would prevent them from making content, which is monetized speech, which is different from free speech. And because we live in a very heavily, you know, neoliberal society, you know, where everything is commodified, the collapsing or the reduction of like all free speech or all activity, you know, that the government says is okay in the Constitution inherently being, you know, subject and allowable to monetize is something that people should just take for granted. And because this conversation is happening online, you know, where the population having it is just overrepresented, or rather overrepresentative of like content creators, you know, and the people who most in the people who most regularly consume content, it's just being had by the most biased people who just inherently believe that like the right to make money off of speech is inherently the same as it being free. The people who think that like, oh, you know, it's the same to want to say the N-word as a white person in my private home with my friends as it is to make it the central joke of my Netflix special that I want people to consume and buy. And it's just like, it's just not. But when you're talking to like a very heavily biased population, biased towards this idea that creation and consumption of online content is like, you know, something to derive a very big positive social feeling from, or just, you know, your job, then it's easy to convince yourself that those two things are one-to-one, but they're just not. You know, the right to make a joke is not the same thing as the right to be a paid comedian, but they get treated like it is by people who want you to confuse them for one another.